Welcome to Through the Looking Glass.
I cannot believe you got the voting on
Has
that
to
one.
do it every time.
I mean, right now the votes are people like the sultry entry.
It's like one vote. What are you talking?
it's 3-2, man. We got me, Jesse, and a kid I went to high school with.
Oh,
Yeah,
So,
he showed me a message.
It's 3-2 right now on
playing
the
politics.
It's 3-2 on the welcome
Yeah, I almost
to
forgot.
Through the Looking Glass.
Wanted to tell
Well,
Jesse.
we'll see.
All right. So today's topic: spirituality. What are some of our spiritual beliefs? How they've changed throughout life? You know, what's given our beliefs.
First and foremost, please like, share, subscribe, comment, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble. Join us on this journey as we just have fun conversations with ourselves, the three of us, four when Jesse's able to join us, and hopefully get people around town. And if you are interested in joining us, if you know anybody, because especially we're going to be having talks about religion and spirituality. If you go to a church and you have your pastor or anything like that, tell them about us. You know, we want to talk to Catholic priests,
Theologians.
yeah, to Christian priests. We would love to have, don't really know the name of them, but leader of a synagogue, mosque.
Wouldn't that be a
any
rabbi?
temple. Yes, rabbi. I couldn't remember that. Yeah, and just other topics.
Or a sister, maybe. I almost forget about nuns.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Tell you what, man,
welcome.
you got the like and subscribe and share and all that. You got that down pretty good, man.
Yeah,
You've
You
been practicing.
gotta do it.
You've been practicing.
I just hear it every show that I watch on
too.
YouTube.
I
So
I feel you.
it's it does work, you know, sticks in your head.
Absolutely.
So who wants to go first?
Oh, this is going to be tricky.
I think mine is probably the simplest. I mean, most of my life I just grew up as Catholic, a little bit of Christianity as I was younger, went to Sunday Mass like every week. Kind of grew out of that as a family. Some things happened. I think we all know, you know, what happened in the Catholic Church.
Here's a question. Did going to Catholic church as a kid actually have some scary vibes?
No, it was boring because everything was in Latin. So like I couldn't really understand anything.
Okay. See, I used to get like these almost like fearful vibes going to church. Like I went,
Oh, sure, your soul is gonna burn in hell if you sin.
Same,
That
yeah.
that was terrifying.
not even just that, just
Uh.
being inside the church itself used to almost like creep me out a little bit.
No, I thought it was beautiful. Like
I always liked the
Roman
window
Catholic,
paintings, but
Gothic,
What,
that
what
kind of
church did
architecture.
you go to around here?
Whew, I couldn't remember. I was young.
So I went to St. Mary's, also raised Catholic. The main reason I went to church and Sunday school was so I could play basketball in Christian youth organization. So that was really the only reason I went to church. Another time in my life, I went to church to specifically get out of the barracks on Sunday at boot camp. I used to go to church Sunday mornings at boot camp specifically for that.
Yeah, I used to go to church as well as a kid, but it was the purpose of getting away from my mother.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has a lot of good moral teachings and
Yep.
everything like that, but just falling out of like, there was always a little bit of belief, but never like hardcore belief in any of that. But over the years of just looking at different things, the different religions and everything, I probably fall under just flat out deism. I don't believe in any specific God. There's, you know, this God is better than this one or anything like that. But just believing in just the powers of nature and our planet and everything like that. I do believe there has to be something out there.
Absolutely.
Like, to think that, again, I bring this up, but that we're just on a small blue marble, you know, circling around a giant ball of fire. And then when we look up at the night sky, that's literally infinite amounts of other marbles circling fireballs. There's got to be something there. Like, That's too
the-
much order
the
in an existence of
mathematical
chaos.
the mathematical precision of things in the universe is also, I feel like, another good sign that there's some kind of intelligent design within this universe. The Fibonacci spiral, or the
I
Fibonacci
was just going
sequence,
to bring
or
that.
That's
the
like
phi
the
spiral that you
the
can.
conch thing.
Yep, that
Yeah.
that outward winding circle that
Yeah,
stays in the same ratio. It's like that's found everywhere in nature. You can find it in plants, you can find it in animals, you can find it in the galaxies. Like it's found on both like a smaller micro and like macro type scale.
Sacred geometry, which is something I tend to believe a little bit more on, but
So I do believe that there's something, not particularly that Sky Daddy's going to be mad at me if I, sin, but there has to be.
I've
Mhm.
got
Just like a human consciousness. If we think about just planet Earth as it is, there's separate ecosystems all around us. You think about an ant colony. Ants are perfectly content just living their lives as it is. They're a part of a hive. Their world is everything that they know about them. But then we're also on the same planet.
mhm.
Like, we're driving cars on highways in giant metal boxes, but the ants are perfectly content in their little ant colony off the side of the highway. So just to that scale, we're basically ants on a giant blue marble that are also comparatively an ant to the black hole in the center of our galaxy, in the center of our galaxy. So to think that we're the biggest, baddest, and smartest out there,
we're all just plastic soldiers in a miniature dirt war.
yeah, it's
Jim Morrison.
it is. I do feel it's a bit ridiculous and very egotistical of humans to believe that there's nothing out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's egotistical to think that we're the pinnacle of existence.
Oh,
I feel like there has to be so much more or so many more advanced societies out there. I mean, obviously, some of the answers to the Fermi paradox. Is it possible that all species get to the point of evolution where we're getting to, and then end up destroying themselves?
They either evolve past, or more likely they destroy themselves.
Well,
and we've come close.
And I also like to think if there's any out there that have evolved past, maybe they're purposefully staying away from us because they know we're barbaric still.
oh, well, human beings are just monsters.
Yeah, we are.
But to
I hate
say
to
to say human beings are monsters must mean we are also equally as divine.
Yeah, absolutely. It goes both ways. You're either
Mhm.
good or bad in that sense. And I think that's why religion or spirituality is so important to have. You got to have some sort of faith basis, or else you lose a sense of self.
It's
think-
also depending on the religion, but like all human religions right now, they do teach like moral guidelines. There are a lot of people out there who are atheist and think that humans can just naturally be good. It's not true. Not that I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, naturally, humans strive to reach higher pinnacles in life, and if they don't have moral boundaries, they don't care about you. Like, if in order for me to get higher and earn money and be rich means that I have to fuck you over,
Yeah,
what do I care? Morals is what stops people from doing that.
which you're seeing more of that every day in society right now.
Yeah.
See, now I'm not saying religion necessarily brings about those morals, but I do.
It helps. It's a good teaching.
So not just religion, but I believe I'll tie in spirituality and say at least some type of belief in a higher divine power is what I feel like can bring more morality into a person's life. And I only say that because even growing up Catholic, I was not always the most moral person. I didn't care who I stole from or, how I fucked anybody over, as long as it helped me get ahead. Until psychedelics, man. And I had my first few psychedelic experiences and had some experiences where I felt like I was in tune with or communicating telepathically with the divine, or some of my even really deep trips where I felt like I saw God. It it really changed my whole perspective on how to treat people, on actually having morals. And like now I can't even steal a 5-cent piece of candy from the store. I mean, candy's not 5 cents anymore, but like even something as small as that, because like now in my mind it's so ingrained in there that, hey, that's not yours, it's not right. I can't bring myself to do it.
Right.
Someone could leave $1,000 in front of me on the table and walk away, or drop that money right in front of me. I'm picking it up and I'm giving it to them.
Yep.
It's not mine. And I know I would be extremely hurt if I lost that money and someone saw me drop it and didn't give it back. Yeah, I guess a good way to put it is the psychedelics really helped me tap into my empathy.
Yes.
For others. I think empathy is a big thing, because the more empathy you have, I feel like the more moral you also tend to be, because you know and understand how your actions affect people, and you know how it would make you feel if somebody did that to you.
And I feel like a lot of people don't think like that too.
But there is danger in empathy too. There is such a thing as being too empathetic. Like I've seen examples of this where you are so empathetic to somebody else's plight that you're actually willing to
Put yourself in pain.
not put yourself in pain, but to act violently to accost those that caused the pain of the people you're empathetic to.
Okay.
So like if you're an ally of certain causes, you are empathetic to those people suffering, and you're told that it's these people who's causing that suffering.
So let's use like terrorism in the Middle East as a perfect example, since we're talking about spirituality and religion. Like what terrorists do to attack those that they don't agree with. Well, I don't know if this would be a good example to tie into it, but like what just happened in Israel with Hamas.
So you're speaking specifically to Muslim extremism.
In this certain moment, yes. And I mean, there's extremists
Everywhere.
in every
Everywhere.
religion and every walk of life. There's extremists. There's extremists here in America on both sides of the political aisle. There's religious extremists or religious extremists. I mean, I won't say the names, but I'm sure if people watch this video, they might know who I'm talking about. There's witches in this church right now, and I got their names. I got their names. These witches, we're gonna get rid of them.
That is
to me,
that's wild.
That's kind of extreme. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of extremism.
Well, people tend to take things way too far.
Yeah.
They're really good at doing
that.
Sometimes,
as long as it doesn't get violent, I guess I can say that they're taking it too far. It can be entertaining for others.
That is one of the, so just like all things in human life, everything is a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. So religion can be good, and it can teach you boundaries, guidelines, morals. But just like we've seen with the Catholic Crusades of Jerusalem, when you teach a large following of people that another type of people are your enemy, that's where things get kind of wild. Yep. You know, you convince one generation that these people are your enemy, and then that generation teaches the next that those people are their enemy, and that next generation just ends up being more fanatic about it.
Question: so is that the devil, the quote unquote devil, as we would call it, that's tricking us to hate one another? I like to think the devil is more of a metaphor than anything.
I think the devil is human nature,
human ego.
Because I believe, because we all have like a conscious voice, right? Like
I believe that consciousness is God, and the ego is the devil.
The little voice in our heads. Well, I don't have much of a God voice then, but yeah, I've always kind of suffered with. We've all got that little voice in our head where it talks to us, we talk back. It helps us think things through sometimes, but mine tends to convince me to do dumb shit.
Mine likes to tell me I suck.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't suck. Shut up, man. I don't suck, dude. Shut up.
It does that, beats you down, does other things, but it can also convince you to do dumb things because there's no consequence for that voice.
Go spend $300 that you don't really have to be able to spend. You got the $300, but you got to spend it on bills. But go spend it on something you don't need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Things like that. It's
hey man, look, there's a car coming in the other lane. Why don't you just take your steering wheel and whoop into
Yeah.
the other lane, you know?
Intrusive thoughts,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
dark.
I think it's just one of those things where it was recognized that these are natural parts of humans. Like this is just what humans do. So humans gave it a name. Satan, the devil, you know. You
Mhm.
have these thoughts, you have these feelings because there's a something inside of human beings that tell us to be shitty to each other, especially.
Which is sad.
But right on
is.
right on the opposite spectrum, you know, I've talked about this with Amjad before. Like, there's got to be something divine within us too that tells us to be good people. Like, I've questioned that with myself. Like, how did I make that switch from just not caring to all of a sudden tapping into something I believed was God, and now all of a sudden I'm almost too overly caring about other people, where I'll put other people's feelings ahead of my own, which kind of I feel like is a good thing. It can be bad. You got to be very careful with doing that.
Yo,
But it's the idea that I feel like in my life I've began to find more happiness in service to others than I have service to myself.
That's definitely something I've always noticed is it does feel good to help
Mhm.
other people. And in the moment it doesn't feel selfish, but I mean, it is kind of selfish, but it's a good selfish behavior to
Mhm.
help others. Now, there's certain people, and of course, there's a lot of content creators who've gotten pretty famous off this.
I'm not
They just walk around with the camera handing out, you know, McDonald's food to
biggest
homeless
fans of
people.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not. You got to be humble about it too. But
Mhm.
it does feel good, and it's okay to be selfish in wanting to help other people because sure you feel good on the inside, you feel better, you feel like you actually accomplished something, but you are in fact helping
Yeah,
others.
yeah.
So it's good. It is
Mhm.
good. It's something I think
I
human
just-
beings just need to do more.
I do often wonder how much these people help when the cameras aren't rolling. Do they only help when the cameras are rolling?
I think it's an
That's-
ego game,
Yeah.
and I
It's
don't
definitely
mean
and people love those heart-wrenching moments and they love to watch them.
right, but
And they
there's
just
no
want the
need for that.
Instagram. Yeah.
I feel
They,
you.
they want the Instagram follows. They just
Mhm.
want to be noticed online.
See, to me, in my mind, when I see that, it's fake compassion.
To me, it's no different than corporations exploiting people's labor. You're literally just exploiting somebody's bad situation for your own gain, which again comes down to having no empathy, and it comes down to the little ego or consciousness or the little devil or the angel on your shoulder.
It's kind of it is so wild how biblical texts go back thousands and thousands of years, and it's like they figured all this out, but they had to put it in ways for people to understand it so plainly.
Well, it's almost like
interesting.
story time.
Oh, for sure.
So I finally got a Bible so I can actually go back and start trying to read through it. I've got the Bible. I've got the Bhagavad Gita. I've got the Tao Te Ching is the only
Oh, that was the
yes,
book.
the Tao Te Ching is the only religious scripture that I've actually read front to back. It's super easy to read through. The pages aren't that long. The passages are absolutely beautiful. And what's strange to me is the Tao Te Ching seems like it's written in almost a psychedelic state of mind. It's simple, yet deep and easy to understand and
And
easy to follow and
and
like straight to the
to the
point,
point,
but
yeah.
in a very simple way.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's Taoism.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
We have the book. We'll let you borrow it if you like.
Okay.
It's
That's
really
pretty
good.
dope.
The
Yeah,
the Tao
I definitely want to try to start going to a church at some point because, like you've mentioned before, it feels like there's something bigger going on in our culture in our country right now,
It's
and
so dark.
also
Right
too
now.
when you find the right church, you can begin to also find a deep sense of community if you
Yeah.
find the right church. In the past,
I
when
think
went-
that's one of the greater purposes of church is
so
building community.
in the past when I went to church with I won't say names, but you know who I'm talking about. They used-
Maybe.
owners of where we used to work.
Oh yeah.
So-
I've gone a couple of times.
Yep. So I don't know. I don't know if it was because I had dreadlocks back then, so I was like getting some weird looks. Every time I've gone to church, I've always felt judged.
No,
Same.
definitely.
Strangely enough, the least I felt judged going to church is when I actually went and checked out the Mormon Church, the Latter-day Saints.
Oh, really?
Yes, I did not feel any judgment from them.
Oh, that's strange.
Um,
Because I didn't go with
not
it, so
although-
I don't know.
not to break on them, but it's hard to judge other people when your religion was like scripted on 12 silver plates. It's kind of strange.
well, the golden plates that nobody else
Yeah.
ever saw except
Except for the one person,
Yeah.
and there's only so many spots in heaven. In order for you to get in heaven, you have to
What?
convert people to Mormonism, and then by you getting into heaven, you kick somebody else out of heaven.
I never
Like
heard
you
that
believe
one.
what you want to believe, but that just sounds weird.
So there was one weird thing that happened at their church though. They had like this little study group after the service, and we got talking about God's forgiveness, and me being me, kind of having a psychedelic mind that thinks a little bit outside the box. I raised my hand and I asked, if God is so forgiving, could he forgive the devil?
It's a really good question.
And I was, in simple terms, told that I shouldn't be asking that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I never got an answer. I was basically told like, that's not something we should be worrying about. He did everything he could to avoid answering that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if God is so forgiving, then I think God could easily forgive the devil. And part of this is not saying my personal belief, but a strong idea I have that God and the devil are the same being
thing.
or the same energy. And in order to forgive the devil, God would have to forgive himself.
I like that.
It's okay. So
Kinda
the idea of as above, so below. Human beings go through this struggle, going back and forth with the little angel and demon on their shoulder. We're all capable of the greatest evil, and we're all capable of the greatest good. So if as above, so below, and we are created in the Creator's image, then in a sense, is it possible that that same energy is both what we call God and the devil? And I mean, even when you look in the Old Testament and the New Testament, which is kind of why I want to read back through it. The Old Testament God seems a lot more vengeful and warring and evil compared to the New Testament God, who's more forgiving and understanding and empathetic and loving.
I think it's the same thing in the Torah. Jewish God, Hebrew. I don't want to be disrespectful, but I don't know particularly. But it seems like he is also quite vengeful. Like,
well, the God
he has very strict rules, and you follow them or you're done.
So the Old Testament is part of the Jewish religion.
Yeah, but it's not as a whole.
It's still the same. I mean, technically, the God of Judaism, the God of Christianity, and the God of Islam are actually all the same God. It's the God of Abraham.
Oh, no shit.
Yes, which is weird that
I actually did not know that.
It's weird that the three kind of have issues with each other, because it's like, well, wait a minute though, we all worship the same God. It's the God of
just
Abraham.
differently.
Yeah. So it's like if we all worship the same God, why are we fighting with each other?
Different prophets and scriptures.
Yep.
It almost
But what's
doesn't make
weird
any
is
sense.
what's weird is
Unfortunately,
Jesus
human
is
scripture.
Jesus is in the Quran multiple times. He goes by Isa.
Oh, that's interesting. I
Yes.
don't think I've ever read the Quran.
You can find stories of Jesus in the Quran. There's stories of Jesus from ancient India or in Buddhist teachings, and again, his name there is also Isa. If you look up Prophet Isa, you'll find accounts of Isa in a couple other places around the world.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It kind of ties in, and there's some people that claim that it's been debunked, that from that whole time Jesus between 12 and 30, where there's no accounts of him, that he was traveling the world and learning different religions and spiritual ideas. And my thing is, even if he was the Son of God or God in the flesh manifested as human, I feel like as you're growing and learning through life, you still have to learn the religions of the world and the spiritual philosophies of the world. So it's not like he was just born knowing it all and still had to go learn and adapt and take in all the knowledge that he can to be able to formulate his own teachings. Like I've the teachings of Jesus, Buddhism, and Taoism, I kind of mashed those three together to try to live my life. And obviously, I'm not perfect. I've kind of driven myself crazy in the past, trying to hold myself to this perfect image, trying to almost emulate Christ too much. And I've had to, in recent years, tell myself, like, man, you're not Christ. You're gonna make mistakes, man. You're human, so don't get down on yourself when you make a wrong decision, or if you act out in a way that isn't Christ-like. Like, forgive yourself, apologize to the person if there's another person involved, and understand you're human. You're gonna make mistakes.
Well, it's almost too much pressure to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Being a perfectionist is rough.
Aren't possible of perfection.
So I guess going back, I asked you that first question. I never really stated where my beliefs came from. Well, I was going back to the beginning of the podcast when I asked who wanted to start. So I was raised Catholic, and it was later on in my teen years, I just I didn't really believe in the idea of God anymore. I don't know if it was because that was the cool, edgy thing to do as a high schooler, to not believe in God. But even through the Marine Corps I didn't believe in God. And some of it had to do with, man, there's people over in these war zones dying, being blown up. All this bad shit is happening. How could there be an all-loving God, an all-knowing God that would allow all of this stuff to go on?
That's what my mom used to talk about a lot. And such a negative environment. At some point, you got to have faith in something positive. It's not his responsibility to intervene.
That's what I like about
especially in every single person's daily life. So I go back to the ant colony thing. So if we're ants, right, in the greater scheme of everything, we're ants, and something is looking over us. Is it actually all the time not procuring? That's not the correct word. So I'm trying to think, but it's. Think of it as if a person has an ant colony, right, in their house, and they have this ant colony. They just let the ants do whatever they do. Of course, the person's going to intervene if something comes in and tries to eat their ants or whatever, but they're not going to try to prevent every single ant from dying in the colony. You've got other things you're doing.
Yeah.
So to think that possibly the creator of our existence is worried about every single human being on earth, come on.
So it's one of the best ideas that I heard, obviously, is God doesn't allow any evil that isn't necessary, which would bring me to a good question. If the evil that happens is necessary, then what is the point of all of it? What is the point of the evil in life? What is the point of us living this life with so much evil in it?
To learn, to grow, to change, better understand,
to expand or grow or evolve our soul or consciousness, possibly. I've even had the idea.
That would really depend on your religious beliefs. Because the way I see it, if you're a person that believes in reincarnation, the point of sin would be, okay, so if you sin, well, then you're going to be reincarnated as a slug. Screw you.
What if you were reincarnated into the same human life over and over and over and over again until you learned your lesson?
I mean,
that kind of seems like hell.
What if? Yeah, that's what was going to bring me to my next point. What if this life, and this is an idea that I've had pop in my head before. What if this life or this planet is like a prison planet for our souls, where it's not like hell, but we have to come here to learn lessons to quote unquote act right in the spiritual realm. And this comes from another idea of, and several people have thought about this after DMT trips, where in the higher dimension or higher realm or whatever you want to call it, whatever you think of can immediately manifest. So you have to learn to control your thoughts and your actions in your mind, because you can manifest some bad things in another place just out of thin air.
Yep. Which is not good.
So this is a place where we come to learn mindfulness, which is something that Buddha taught, and how to have empathy and to love others, which is something that Christ taught.
I don't know, because it does feel like there are just genuinely good-hearted people on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
So to think that they were incarnated to be imprisoned in a fleshy vessel for something they did on another plane. I don't know.
All right, so maybe not so much as like a prison planet, but what if this planet, and I can't remember where I heard this idea, that Earth was a college for souls, where our souls come to learn and grow and expand, and that when souls graduate from the Earth realm, they're actually almost revered in the cosmos, because this is like the hardest school in the cosmos for our soul to learn.
So the real school of knocks.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, that
School of hard knocks.
that idea in and of itself could be considered egotistical. But I can see where that idea ties into, I believe the Hindus believe that the Earth realm is the only realm of existence where humans can come to obtain enlightenment and
Well,
free themselves from the cycle of reincarnation, the cycle of death and rebirth. And that's
I
called
kind,
nirvana.
I kind of vibe with that. That makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Because, like, human beings are human beings. So
Yeah.
we have to come down here and learn things
Hmm.
and grow.
And what better place to learn and grow than inside of beings who are very unperfect. Now, I don't want to get too into it in this episode. This is one I'd really like to have Amjad when we talk about, but like
I'd
the
like to
idea-
have a couple
the
people when
idea-
we get to
well,
have spirituality
the
and
I,
religious
no, this has
talks.
nothing to do with. I mean, I guess it can kind of be spirituality, but the idea of determinism versus free will.
Oh,
Like I said,
God.
I don't want to get into it too much in this episode because Amjad and I have talked about that for days, and I would
Yeah.
love to have him on and talk about this sometime very soon. Him and I lean more towards determinism, and
I'm
most
free will.
people we know are free will.
Well, it makes sense because God doesn't intervene if you think about it, and He gave us free will. But
Did he?
at the same time, there is a blueprint, which I've seen it before.
So the
Like your whole life is already planned out for you.
the blueprint, I was going to bring it up earlier to a point you said where, like, you know, the whole anthill thing where God's not watching over us, like controlling everything that happens. This is a vision that I had
Mhm.
on an acid trip in 2014 at Grassroots when I got into a deep meditation, just chilling in my anti-gravity chair. That, and I even said it out loud to her. I said, it's like a clock that's been wound up and now it's unwinding. Like, imagine like almost like a clock that unwinds. God took this existence and wound it up, and it's all predetermined where it's going to go, but he winds it up and then he just lets it unwind as it should. No intervention. Everything's already planned out. And if this is a place, if this is a place where we come to learn, I had this other vision a couple years back that ties into it. And I think I said this on the first episode, where I saw this multi-dimensional reality that's like both a play, a video game, a cosmic TV show, where these characters that were that our souls are inhibiting, like you, Russ, you, Erica, me, Adam. These lives are already predetermined, and the lessons that our soul needs to learn will be learned through the characters that we inhibit in this life. So, like the character of Adam, the lessons that my soul needs to learn to grow will be learned through the life lessons that Adam lives, and that I don't have the free will in where my life is going to go, that I'm only here as the conscious observer to learn from. And I know that idea can be terrifying to some, but it was a kind of a scary vision at first. And it wasn't until Amjad came over and actually told me what determinism was that vision started to make a little bit more sense.
So we had an M-Bum trip, and it got very deep, and I saw my whole future. I saw that I was going to date Adam. That happened. Saw that I was going to travel in a red car. Traveled in a red car.
I miss
Like,
that
I saw
car.
everything.
That car
Sure.
had a lot of memories.
Sure. Maybe certain greater aspects are determined, but not, I don't believe everyday decisions can be just determined down to the most minute detail. That just, it seems too convenient of an excuse, if that's a good way to put it.
Understandable. That's why I said we'll have a whole episode where we can get Amjad on here and we'll just
Yeah.
go back and forth on that, because he believes that even the flavor of Monster that you're going to pick at the store is already predetermined.
Then that doesn't really, because as chaos theory kind of determines where you never truly know what's going to happen. There's like the drop of water on your hand, it might flow one way. You would think that it goes the other, but it will end up taking a completely different path.
I mean, when
Or
you
it
enter
just-
that store, you have no idea what flavor you're going to pick right away. So it's still
no,
kind of.
I might have chosen before I even like left my house today. I was like, oh, I'm really tired. I'm gonna go get a Monster. I know what flavor I'm gonna get. I'm gonna get the same one.
Has there ever been a time you've gone to get one and then you see something else and you're just like, yeah, let me grab that one instead?
Yeah.
Was that determined, or did you choose that?
I chose that because as I'm browsing different flavors, I'm like, no, that one doesn't sound good today. Oh, they got a new orange creamsicle one. Let me try that.
Has there ever been a decision in your life that you made that immediately after you made the decision, you thought to yourself, why did I do that? Like, why did I make that decision?
Absolutely.
There's been times where I was like, damn, that was a bad decision.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because I didn't know what would happen before I made the decision.
How long after you made the decision did you think that? Because I'm talking about like immediately after, like, oh, that was a bad decision. Why'd I do that? I didn't even want to do it. Why'd I make that decision? I've had plenty of those instances in my life.
That kind of sounds like maybe if I like took the wrong turn down a street, but then, okay, so if I turned down the wrong street and I didn't consciously make the decision, I just kind of did it. And then 2 seconds later, I'm like, why did I turn down this road? So
was it determined for you to go
it
down
was
that road?
already predetermined for me to turn down the road, and then for me to question why I turned. Doesn't.
So then my next question would be, was it your free will to even question why you turned down that road?
Okay. Now
Okay.
these are just
Yeah.
leading questions, and no, okay, I understand. I do understand kind of where you're going, but questions like these are leading to a predetermined destination that you're leading it to.
Is it my free will to even ask you these questions?
You are predetermined, leading me to the answer that you want. So no,
Well, what if that answer is already predetermined?
it's not.
Could be.
It's not.
Could be.
It's not.
We can't prove whether it is or not.
Sure.
Did I have the free will to decide to bring up determinism today?
Yes.
This was determined
Maybe.
to happen. Our podcast.
Was it?
Was it?
I think it was.
I think it was.
I mean, if you
look
never
how
came,
it look how
if
it
you never
materialized.
came back to Domino's, it wouldn't have happened.
Right.
If I had done something that I planned on doing 2 years ago, I
You know
wouldn't
she
even
didn't
be
make
in this town.
You know
So,
she didn't make the choice to go back to Domino's, right? She ran into Karen at 7-Eleven and told Karen about our situation through 2022, and without even filling out an application, Karen brought her back.
She hired me on Thanksgiving. Like, honestly, I really needed the help. So that was a positive.
Well, it's hard to land that into determinism because you got to think this is a small town,
Right.
so
It is.
You know,
It is.
But
yeah,
at the same time, I
there's
was
only so many stores you can go to.
right. I understand that.
Right, but the idea would be it was already determined for Karen to be there at that time.
because I was looking
And
for
for them
quarters
to have that conversation.
so I can grab a Black and Mild. And if I didn't leave in that moment, sorry, my bad. If I didn't leave in that moment and arrived at 7-Eleven in that moment as she was leaving,
Sure.
would it even happened?
30
Sure.
seconds later, and she would have missed Karen, and she might not have been back at Domino's.
Sure.
And I don't believe in coincidence, so I'm not going to say that was coincidence.
Just happenstance, not coincidence.
Like, I understand it is a small town, but there's a lot of people here.
Sure, but you and Karen, you guys kind of live near each other. You're within a couple block radius. You guys probably frequent the same stores. There's varying factors that could bring you into that circumstance. And sure, there's been people in this town that I haven't seen years that I randomly run into at Wegmans, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's up? I haven't seen you since high school." To say that that could have been predetermined, what, just to sit there and have a catch-up chat with somebody I haven't seen with high school. It's kind of a minute detail in life to say that could. I do understand, and I believe in the possibility of determinism, but I choose to believe in free will.
Understandable.
It's understandable. Amjad and I have even talked about if determinism was the truth, but the whole population understood that things were determined, how do you think that would make people that are in prison feel? Wait a minute, you're telling me I had no choice but to fucking commit the crimes that I did and end up in this fucking shithole? I had no choice about that? It could probably cause a lot of anger and turmoil and uprising within people to understand that, oh, my life was determined to play out this way and there's nothing I could have done to change it.
Or they accept the fact that that's what was predetermined for them. Oh,
Yeah.
well, I didn't have a choice in the matter, so I'm here.
That would be a tough one in that position. I feel
It would
like.
be. It would have to be something that I definitely don't want to experiment on.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I do believe in free will because I think we can see from studies with like twins separated at birth. There have been stories and different examples where two completely identical twins separated at birth, just raised in different environments. One ends up being a sociopathic murderer. The other one becomes a pastor of a youth foundation. It's more nurture in the nature of your environment that can lead to a determined outcome of your life if you
I do agree with that.
if you are raised in a specific environment where you see nothing but people stealing, robbing from each other, gang banging. Yeah, your path is pretty determined. Sure, but you do have the choice to drop everything, leave that town, and try to have a better life.
It's like almost like a child who got sexually
Find
abused and becomes
God.
a pedo. I
Yeah.
can't say the word.
Well,
Where do you find God the most?
what do you elaborate?
So, like, for myself, I tell people all the time, like, when I really need to get closer to God, I guess you could say my church, I go sit out in nature, man.
Yeah.
I go spend time by a waterfall, like hearing the water flowing, getting in the water and feeling the water on my skin, listening to the breeze of the wind, listening to all the crickets and bugs and watching the dragonflies fly around the waterfall. To me, that's the closest I can be to God because I'm in the middle of God's creation and I see God in all of that.
Which reminds me, I saw a deer last night as I was walking home. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
I almost fucking smacked one last night in my car coming up over the hill.
Whoosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it doesn't help that, hopefully nobody from Domino's sees this, but sometimes I'd be flying up over that hill. You know how fast you can get from
You're
west?
admitting to crimes.
No, it's not a crime. It's just a traffic infraction.
Okay, that's true.
Do you know how fast you can get from way out in West Elmira to the cemetery going up over that hill?
oh, I'm sure.
I can take 5 minutes off my trip going up over that hill. Maybe because I'm going a lot faster, but
So you do seek out spiritual connections when you go to nature. That kind of
absolutely.
helps
That's actually the only reason I do psychedelics. It's like both a mental healing and it's like getting back in touch with that spiritual side. Because let's face it, there's a lot of stresses in life that can take our mind off of the spiritual aspect of life, and we kind of get caught up and wrapped up in all of our own shit. So it's like at least 4 times a year, like every change of the season, I like to have one of my little rituals where I just put on some music, I meditate, I let go, and it's like every time I do that, I feel like I'm reconnecting with the divine within myself. See, the nature, when I go out in nature, that's connecting with the external divine. When I have my psychedelic experiences, that's connecting with the divine nature within myself. Because remember, the kingdom of heaven lives within every man, woman, and child.
What was that from?
I want to say I
Chris-
originally heard that from who was the Charlie Chaplin? Remember? Chorf, The Absence of Gravity is the name of the song. If anyone wants to look that song up, it's amazing. I love it. I'm pretty sure that's No, wait, that's not the one. That's the one that's got From Fear and Loathing.
Oh, yeah.
Flick Flack, Hope.
Hope. Oh, that
That's
song.
That's the one.
I
Hope
love
by
it.
Flick Flack. It's got a clip of Charlie Chaplin in it, and I believe that's the one where he says, the kingdom of heaven lives within every man, woman, and child. And I've really felt that kingdom of heaven within myself on psychedelics. And obviously some people can say, well, you were on a drug, you were feeling euphoric, and it's like, oh, the devil's just playing with you because you're on a drug. And it's like, well, if the devil was playing with me on this drug, why would the devil convince me to buy a Bible and to learn more about Christ and to open my heart and mind up to Christ? That doesn't make sense.
No.
Why would the devil try to convince me to learn the mindfulness of Buddhism or even read up on the beautiful philosophies of Taoism?
Sounds like his plans didn't go as planned.
Yeah. I got an interesting
I just screwed your whole determinism up.
I mean, technically that would be determined for him to do that.
But he didn't. The all-knowing and powerful Satan didn't know that that's what would happen if he attacked you.
Well, if God and Satan are the same energy, then it knew. It was planned for me to go through that.
Circular logic.
Like I said, Amjad's way better at debating the determinism than me. He's dug more into it. I lean more towards determinism, but I stay very much open to anything unless I have facts. Like
That's how I
know.
feel.
See, it would be very difficult to debate determinism because
There's no evidence.
There's no evidence or proof. There's
no way to
there's
end
no real
the circular logic
proof.
on it.
Yeah, and there's no real proof of free will, but it wouldn't be a debate. It'd be just more of a critical thinking session. Just let's talk about it. But I don't know.
So there is something I want to send you on YouTube. It's Alan Watts talking about the Tao.
That does sound kind of familiar.
It's a mix called the Taoist Way. It's just got some beautiful chill step music playing over it, but every like minute or two the music breaks and there's clips of Alan Watts talking about and describing the Tao. And there's one thing he says in that ties into your
I know Alan Watts.
Yep, there's one thing he says in that mix that ties into your like ant farm thing where he says the Tao is not a manufacturer. It's not. The Tao does not want you to bow down and worship it. It does not laud things over you. It doesn't require you to worship it. It is. The Tao is just the flow of how things naturally are and how things naturally evolve. I think that's part of why I find the philosophy of the Tao to be beautiful. And maybe I need to read the Tao Te Ching again. It's been about a year. I've read it 3 times because it's easy. Yeah, it's easy to read.
Take notes this time.
Yeah,
maybe help you.
Well, we can bring the book next time too, if you want.
Well, I don't think we're gonna do a live Tao, sermon or anything like that.
Just for you to see it and check it out.
Oh, for sure. But you asked like how I connect with God, whatever it may be. I've been very disconnected for a long time. I don't think I do anything.
What about talking to people? If there's a little bit of God in each and every one of us, then when you're talking to people and having that connection with people, that's somewhat of a connection to God.
I guess, but
if we are God's creation, human beings, if we're one of his greatest creations,
sure,
then I feel like even
that still means that I was very disconnected for a long time. I was an isolationist for quite a while.
With the state of the world and the way things are, it's understandable that people can get that disconnected from God.
Well, there's too many distractions right now.
But like I said, I do want to, because like as Erica has talked and her and I have talked at work about this, is it does feel like there is a greater spiritual battle happening in our culture. And it feels something is wrong. And
Absolutely.
I have felt like maybe I do need to reconnect or try to find something. And, my morals are basically rooted in Catholic and Christianity. So maybe that's where I need to go.
Her and I were talking about there being a spiritual war going on the planet when we were going up to get the other camcorder today.
Yeah. I mean, just look at all the musicians and artists just in like the last 2 years that have started putting all kinds of weird, crazy satanic stuff in their music. Like I was younger. I'm a metalhead. I love hard rock and heavy metal, and all that kind of stuff has those like connotations and little innuendos. But things nowadays where some dude is like giving a lap dance to the devil and sucking him off, or
I don't think I saw that
needs,
one.
Devil needs blowjobs too.
It's
man.
like,
Adam.
you know, I never really believed in Satanism or, you know, God and the devil as the Bible puts it, but
you ever read
it's kind of obvious that there is evil nature in people, and if you worship that and manifest it, then you're asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever read the 10 Satanic Commandments?
Which is a little weird because they're kind of positive.
Very.
They are, but I think, if I understand correctly, one of the main like goals of the Church of Satan, the Satanists, is to try to prove to Christians and believers that, you know, God's not real. But it's kind of counterintuitive, because if you believe
God would be Satan.
If you believe in Satan, then you must believe in God.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it heads and tails of the same coin.
So instead of 10, there's actually 11.
Is there 11?
Yep. Number 1 is do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked.
I like that.
I can understand that. It's the idea of like not burdening people with your problems or being overly opinionated and giving them your opinions unless they ask for it. I mean, I don't know how you feel about that one.
I'm constantly offering my opinions, and people probably don't want them.
You know, maybe that
things I need to work on.
Maybe that could be a good thing, Russ. Maybe you and I could start a side project where we do like video reactions or something. We can call it Overly Opinionated.
Sure. But I am far too opinionated sometimes.
Yeah, that's why we can call it Overly Opinionated.
That's one thing I've noticed about myself. I can be kind of egotistical, and I have a big hubris, and I sometimes feel like I'm smarter than I am, and I need to calm down every once in a while.
I'm the opposite, man. Most of the times I feel dumber. I feel like I'm actually smarter than I think I am, but I don't have that confidence in myself. It's weird.
Yeah.
I have been feeling, I don't think it was confidence. It was just undeserved ego.
For me, it's definitely a confidence issue.
Recently, I have been feeling dumber. I've been, after reading more and researching a lot of things and seeing other people, I'm like, damn, I am actually kind of dumb.
Okay, well, you know, try not to be too hard on yourself. I mean, that's hypocritical for me to say because I'm extremely hard on myself.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually suffer from a little bit of body dysmorphia. I cannot stand like my voice, the way I look, seeing myself in photos and things. I disgust myself. It's hard. It's difficult.
I toe the line of narcissistic when it comes to listening to my own voice. I actually like how my voice sounds. It's weird. Most
TV personalities do. Yeah.
I mean, you can even ask her. There's been times where I've said to her, like in a cocky manner, like, "Hey, when Bruce Buffer retires, I'll take his job."
Oh my goodness, yes.
There is a healthy level of narcissism and ego. There is, but then there's definitely
mine. Really, only comes into like my voice. I like how my voice sounds, and it doesn't help that I had a teacher in high school that I used to think she was picking on me because she would make me read a lot. And what she ended up telling my mom a parent-teacher conference one day is that the reason she would have me read is because the way that I spoke and enunciated my words, that it was easy to listen to and follow along to. Like the way my voice sounds, the way that I speak and read a little slower and enunciate things, that it was just very easy to follow along with. And almost, she said, like soothing in a way to where it's just you can relax while you're listening to it.
Easier for other people to follow, especially classmates and everything like that. Makes sense.
So number 2 on the 11 satanic rules of Earth was Do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them.
Oh, okay.
That's an interesting one. I mean, how often do all of us like the idea of trauma dumping on somebody where they ask you how it's going and
You just
you
unleash.
just unload. I've had random strangers do that on deliveries, and I'm like, I'm sorry you're going through a lot right now, but I'm on the clock. I got to get back to work.
Yeah, and it's like I was not prepared to handle this
Yeah.
right now.
No.
I was definitely
So-
not.
But I mean, you did ask, "How's it going?"
Yeah,
So
I guess I kind of ask that
um,
question in almost just an NPC kind of way when I get to someone's house. Hey, how you doing this evening?
everybody does that.
Yeah.
It's just the niceties.
Yeah,
But I can already tell, like with these rules, it really depends on how you perceive the world. Because I do tend to think in multiple forms. So if you're an optimistic person or just neutral minded, hearing these, you're like, oh wow, these are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But if you're actually thinking in a maleficent way, you can actually twist these tenets into being like. So what was the first one again?
the first one was do not give opinions or advice unless you are asked.
Okay.
Um,
So like that, it could be don't give opinions or advice if you're asked, or like, so if you're a lawyer, right? You're not going to just give anybody your opinion or advice. They have to pay you for your time.
correct.
So, and what was the second one here was
Do not tell your troubles to others unless you are sure they want to hear them.
because you could self-incriminate yourself.
Another one I look at that too is look, everybody's going through some shit, and somebody might not want you to unload all your shit onto them if they're already going
Yeah.
through shit.
Yeah, that's just too
So-
much.
So number 3 on here is when in another's home, show them respect or else do not go there.
Yep.
110% on that.
I agree.
Yeah.
I like it, but these don't really seem like they should be like commandments or rules of earth. Like that one's almost just like a common sense, like, respect somebody else's home.
I feel like this might be more of something like show the public that, see, we're really actually kind of nice.
Yeah, but number 4 is going to change your mind on that.
Do it. Read it.
If a guest in your home annoys you, treat them cruelly and without mercy.
Oh my gosh, jeez.
Yeah, that
No.
went with 0 to 100 real quick.
Real
Yeah,
quick.
real quick.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
that makes
Yeah.
sense. They're in your home. What was it? If they annoy you?
If a guest in your home annoys you, treat them cruelly and without mercy.
I've actually done that before.
I mean, maybe not if they annoy you, but if somebody is in your home and they disrespect you or disrespect your possessions or your family or things like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if somebody's just annoying, then
Just ask them to leave.
yeah, be like, I'm sorry, you're annoying. Can you please leave? I don't want to listen to you anymore.
Yeah, or if they disrespect your house, obviously don't put up with that shit. But
Yeah.
so number 5, and I don't think anybody can disagree with this. I'll say my question to it after I read it. Do not make sexual advances unless you are given the mating signal.
I like it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
but
How
what's
is
the
a
mating
mating
signal? That
signal?
was my question. What is the mating
well,
signal?
that would just be like a simple communication.
Yeah, most
Okay.
people usually know when the other party is
It's
DTF.
DTF.
But
Yeah.
let's be very clear here. We've all seen these, and there's tropes about it.
Oh yeah,
For men trying to understand the signals of women, holy shit,
it can be difficult sometimes.
You guys got to be just upfront about it, because we've all seen the tropes where it's like, I only told him no once. Why didn't he keep trying? You know exactly why we didn't keep
Yeah,
trying. Because
because
if we
no
ask you
means
again, we're
no.
going to prison.
Yeah, no
Like,
means no in this
It's-
case.
Yeah, it's always the wanting to play hard to get, but then it's like no matter what, for men, we're probably going to get burned from it. It's like, yes, women like to be chased. Obviously, women.
Jeez, I hope I wasn't like
See,
that.
I think we should just go
a lot
back
of women
to-
do like to be chased. It's just it is kind of the thing,
No, I agree.
I think we
And a
should
lot
just
of
go back to
women-
mating dances.
right? Yeah,
And
be
if
a
it-
bird
if-
and just
Yeah, actually, ask her. I've done that on acid before. Where like,
and
I
then
just
did you
look at her
sleep with
and-
him?
like,
Yes,
yeah,
you
yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, you did.
I do mating dances often, just joking around. But I mean, and they're kind of fun. You like,
Right. But
I'm
it,
Going
embarrassed
doing
now.
some. Why
Yeah,
are you
the
embarrassed? I should
whole-
be the one embarrassed. I'm doing the dance.
what would be determined as a mating signal? That doesn't make.
If she likes it, she flaps the wings back.
Well, no offense.
She lets you know. Let's get it on.
I feel like it's a little ridiculous to be that complicated as a woman. There's no excuse for that.
We're all adults. Let's
I think
quit
it's
being
human nature,
complicated.
though. Women do they do like to be chased because
Man, I was
men
hurt,
giving
like-
effort towards something, it makes them feel like they're actually wanted. But in Western culture now, men, we can't take that chance. We can't, because if we do chase,
Harassment.
we'll go to jail.
Straight to jail.
So
That's
it's
just
Right away,
sad
straight to
me.
jail.
yeah.
I feel like that's just wrong. Continue on with the list.
Let's see, where did I leave off? We're down to number 6. Do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden to the other person and they cry out to be relieved. Again, it seems like a common sense kind of thing. It's almost like thou shalt not steal.
I like how you
Yeah.
just put that.
I mean, that
It
just seems to
sounds
me
like they're just rewording it, but
yeah.
the extra wording on that is unnecessary, and I'm
Mhm.
wondering why. Unless they are burdened by it and are crying out. See that it comes to perception or your understanding of what that may mean.
yeah,
if
that one's a
They
little
are
weird.
burdened. That could mean a billionaire. Oh, they're burdened by all these billions, and they say they're unhappy. So clearly, they're crying out for us to take it from them. Like Oprah,
I mean, if they wanna
Oprah
give-
Winfrey about 15 years ago
they wanna
said
give me
money
something.
won't buy you happiness, and she did this whole episode and book about how her money doesn't actually make her happy.
Oh,
Does
I mean, if
that
she wants
mean
to give
she's
me some
being-
of it to cover my
Right.
bills,
Does
pay off
that
my
mean
car,
that
I'll
she's
gladly
being
take it.
burdened by her money and she's crying out for people to take it from her?
Nah,
Okay,
she's
so
just-
then when can I go pick up this check?
yeah, that would be
She's
nice.
just virtue signaling. I often question some of these people that are very rich. If all of a sudden they lost everything, how happy would they be?
Oh, they would not be happy.
Some of them
No.
not at all.
Probably kill
Yeah,
themselves.
because then they'd be living like us.
Others though, I feel like others they would people that came from nothing.
They'd be able to
and made it up.
rebound.
I feel like
Yeah.
they'd be able to rebound. But then again, Oprah did come from nothing, didn't she?
But that was her childhood. She has lived in lavish
It's a solid point.
lifestyle for so long.
I don't think she would bounce back.
You know what? No, she has a large enough network. She would bounce back.
Oh,
if she
yeah,
Oh,
if
for
she
sure.
personally lost her entire net worth, she knows people.
Oh yeah,
She knows enough people.
Yeah.
she's
So,
fucking Oprah.
yeah.
She'd get it back.
Yeah, she would just write another book. And she would
So
get it.
number 7 on there was acknowledge the power of magic if you have employed it successfully to obtain your desires. If you deny the power of magic, having called upon it with success, you will lose all you have obtained.
Interesting.
Kind
I
of
almost-
sounds like, satanic ritual magic.
A little bit.
I almost don't know how to respond
But
right now.
But
it could
there's the
also be
idea that
like
there's-
the
there's
power
black-
of manifestation.
There's the idea
and-
that there's black and white magic though. Like obviously white magic being, more
The good.
godly, the good, and then black magic. Well, is there gray magic? I don't know if I've ever heard the
Probably.
term gray magic.
There's probably
Where I feel like if there was gray magic, it's not really used for good or evil. It's used when it's necessary to do something. Maybe I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe I need to find somebody who's more pagan and ask them, hey, is there a gray magic? I've heard of white and black magic.
in certain games and lores of fantasy, there are things called gray wizards.
Well, I haven't
Oh,
really,
yeah, I almost
I haven't
forgot
really
about that.
gotten too deep into Star Wars. I only watched the original 3 from the
Mm-hmm.
70s. But later on in the series, isn't there like gray Jedis?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where, so if I am correct, gray Jedi have been able to tap into the hatred and the power, the malevolence of Sith power, but still choose to use that. It hasn't overtaken them, so they still choose to use it
Okay.
for just means. They're not pure order. Like Jedi won't go out of their way to interfere and kill. As where gray Jedi, if they see grave injustices, Yes, they will absolutely slaughter a village of marauders to save a city.
Okay.
So Anakin actually, now I'm diving into Anakin actually entered the gray phase after his mother died. So he did let his rage take over him, and he went and he, killed the creatures that attacked his mother, enslaved her, and everything like that. That was like his turning point where he started going Sith. But in that moment, he didn't go full. So there was a window of opportunity between the second and third movie where he would have fallen in the gray area. He could have tapped into his Sith powers that he was diving into, giving into the rage, hatred, and all that, but still used it for just purposes.
Okay.
Instead, chose to go full Sith. So
Interesting.
yeah, there is a gray area. So
Very
All
well.
right.
Very well. All right. Number 8. Do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself.
I'm not sure how to interpret that right now.
don't complain. Oh, so if you can avoid it, then just avoid it instead of doing it and then complaining about it later.
Or maybe just don't complain about it at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
don't
I
be-
guess I'm
Don't
kind of with
complain
you
about the
on that
choices you
one.
make.
Yeah, I don't know how to
Yeah.
interpret that
Maybe.
right now.
Maybe just don't
Maybe-
complain about the choices. If you put yourself in a situation, you have no right to complain about it.
That makes a little more sense the way you
Yeah.
worded it. Yeah.
I dig that.
Number 9.
That one implies free will.
Which one?
The don't complain about the choices you
I
make.
mean, one could say that it's not free will. That,
all right, continue.
It was determined. It was very much determined for me to complain about it.
He'll keep going, Russ.
Yeah.
Number 9. We're all gonna like this one. Do not harm young children.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
Can't agree more to that. Again, what was it? Matthew 18:6, maybe, about what Jesus said. And if anyone should cause any of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it is better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and to be either thrown or drowned at the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
Tossed, I think is the
Yeah.
word.
But a deeper question on that would be, what if you are convinced that what you're doing is not actually harm?
Which, oh boy.
This is where you have.
Yeah, let's
this-
not dive
Let's
into it
not
right
do
now.
it
But
right now.
This
I mean,
is-
that is a greater question.
This is where I guess we have to determine if there really is a right or wrong, or if right and wrong is all subjective. I truly believe there is an objective right and wrong.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
And I feel like each and every one of us know deep down in our gut what that right and wrong
Yeah.
is.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, objectively,
Mhm.
killing somebody is wrong.
Very much.
I mean, even if somebody murdered somebody else, murdering the murderer is still wrong.
Which gets us into number 10. Do not kill non-human animals unless you are attacked or for food. So
I'm
can we
sorry,
kill the human
don't-
animals
Don't kill non-human animals.
unless you are attacked or for food? So you can kill human animals, just not the non-human ones.
That doesn't even make any sense.
No,
I just
it,
have to
it-
say that.
it does.
I think you should-
It's basically saying you can kill other humans for whatever reason.
I think what this one really meant to get at, like I definitely don't agree with the wording, but I think what it meant to get at, I think it should just say do not kill animals unless you are attacked or for food.
Yeah.
I don't know why they had to throw the non-human in there unless they're cool with, yeah, fuck those humans.
No, it's they purposely put in the non-human animal part because humans are animals. So they're basically saying, if you're caught in a fit of rage and you end up killing somebody, that's okay. That's wrong. That's very-
Definitely wrong. If you're in a fit of rage, maybe you should take a deep breath and try to sit down and talk it out with the person.
Just do some mushrooms.
In the heat of the moment, human beings have problem controlling themselves, which is something I believe our culture also has a big problem with. Is we are not teaching people how to like step away from certain situations and actually think something through instead of letting your emotion get the better of you, freaking out, and then thinking I'm sorry, is acceptable.
That's why
it's
I do
not.
like. That's why I do like stoicism. And honestly, I think that's one of the things I really like about some of the Russian fighters in the UFC.
Very stoic.
They are some of the most stoic people you will ever see. And one of the most, like, I'm talking, the most emotion I ever saw out of Fedor Emelianenko's face was when he retired. That's it. And you could tell there was like a little bit of sadness in him, and also like that look of, hey, I accomplished a good career. But that man, if you ever want to look up a wild video, Kevin Randleman versus Fedor Emelianenko. Kevin Randleman, tight waist, suplexes him up over his head. Fedor lands on the back of his head and neck. And the whole time, if you put the video in slow motion, his face doesn't change.
Oh,
His
impressive.
face,
No panic at all.
none. His face is just like this. The
It's
whole
like
time.
he just accepted
The
his
whole time
fate.
he's getting slammed up in the air, coming down backwards, slammed on his head. Boom.
Sounds like maybe he
Crazy.
didn't have enough time to react, but no, with stoicism and truly dangerous men, I've seen some things where veterans talk about this, where the people that are truly, truly dangerous, they are stoic. They don't talk smack. They don't say
Mhm.
they're gonna do something. They just sit back and wait. They listen. They look at their surroundings. The really dangerous, like people that can kill you with their thumb,
Mhm.
are quiet. They're unassuming. They stand back. They observe, and then they act. That's it.
That's
They don't need to tell anybody they're going to do something,
They don't need
because
to tell
by
you
the
how
time
tough
they've
they
done
are.
it, it's done. That's just what it is.
interesting.
So
Yeah.
number 11 here actually ties into some recent events that have happened. I don't know if any of you guys heard about that social media influencer kid that
The
does
one that got
pranks,
stabbed or something.
shot in the stomach at
Yeah.
a
No.
mall.
Yeah.
Oh my God. No.
And then the other person ended up being found not guilty, but was still sent to jail.
I thought he wasn't. I thought they
No,
dropped
he
all
was
charges.
No, he was still sent to jail.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into
s-
that. I heard about that story
he
from.
would- All charged, not all. So most of the charges were dropped, if I'm remembering correctly. He wasn't charged with a crime against him, right? Like it wasn't illegal for him to shoot him. He was in the right for defending himself because he felt like
I
he was in
actually
threat.
don't think he was.
What?
When you watch the video, they finally released the video of him actually shooting the kid. In no way, shape, or form was there any moment in time where, even if I was that kid, that I would have thought my life is in danger. I have to shoot this kid. Yeah, he was doing.
Maybe.
Yeah, he was doing a YouTube prank, but the kid had no weapons. He wasn't being too much of an immediate threat.
Right,
But
but there was no way for him to know that.
understandable.
But the thing that he did get charged with, or the reason why they kept him in jail, illegal discharge of a firearm.
Okay, that's
Which,
understandable.
that's whatever. But still, like,
So,
I'm
eh.
gonna
the
have
way
to
that-
look into that one.
The way that ties in is number 11 here is when walking in open territory, bother no one. If someone bothers you, ask them to stop. If they do not stop, destroy them.
Oh my God, that's a little too much,
That's a
guys.
little-
Destroy them.
That's a little harsh.
Sounds like.
Yikes.
Oh.
Again, that comes to perception. So it's up to each individual person to determine what you think is bothering you. So if somebody is standing on the street corner with a sign of an idea that you don't like, that bothers you,
Well,
That could
then you ask them,
be
hey,
dangerous.
you need to leave. This is wrong.
Mhm.
No, it's not.
I guess it
Then
would
you're justified in attacking them.
Perfect example would be somebody like Billboard Chris.
Yes.
Somebody could feel justified in running up and attacking him if they asked him to stop
Because
wearing a billboard.
They
I was gonna
truly
Yeah.
believe that his views are bigoted, hateful, transphobic, all these things. Then sure, I could see why, if you live by these tenets, you would feel justified in acting that way.
Or what about Hitler?
So
though?
it is.
No, I didn't want to use an
No,
example,
but
but
yeah,
I
mean,
feel like it's a good
that
one.
makes sense, because he truly did feel like his people were in danger.
Yeah.
So does that mean he was justified? No,
not at
clearly
all.
not. He obviously wasn't.
So that was a fun little list to go through those 11 commandments there.
Interesting.
See, I think one of the things, and I'm not as big for Bernie Sanders as I was in 2015 and 16.
I love Bernie.
However, though, there was one thing Bernie said that really captured my attention. I believe it was in 2015 when, he was asked about his religious or spiritual beliefs, and his simple answer was just, I believe we're all in this together.
I love that.
Like we're all on this flying organic spaceship together. Like there's as of right now, there's still no getting off this planet. We're all on this ride together. And I think it would make the ride a bit more enjoyable if we could somehow learn to all get along, even putting our differences aside. But the issue is when some people feel that the differences we have are threatening to their way of life, and that's where it can be very dangerous.
Well, I mean, that's why we need to talk.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it and just know that just because I have an opinion about something doesn't mean it's going to directly affect your life. Unless, of course, like, oh, I believe this thing and I want the government to make a law about it. Sure, but does that decision mean that you then can't live a free and happy life? Probably not, unless I'm like, hey, let's get rid of these types of people, which I don't think any of those kinds of people are being listened to.
Yeah.
Usually not. I know anybody that I hear trying to push anything violent in that kind of way.
Yeah.
It's like, I like to listen to opposition and things I disagree with, so I at least understand the other side and where they're coming from. But if violence is involved or destroying, getting rid of whole groups of people,
then no thanks.
Yeah. It's not it, man.
That's honestly why I have a hard time with Marxists and communists, because I mean, even in Das Kapital and the Communist Manifesto, like, it openly calls for violence. Like, in order to get rid of the proletariat, you have to kill them.
I have to still look into that one.
So, I mean, it's kind of like...
I mean, we've talked about that with Amjad a couple times at the house, how, he has said that, political leaders in different dictatorships, they have to kind of kill their opponents. So there is no dissent. There is no listening to the other side of the aisle. It is their way or the highway. Yeah. They don't even want people knowing that there might be a different way. And the best way to completely silence any dissent like that is to just wipe them out.
Because if there is dissent grows.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with being highly narcissistic or too big of an ego is, man, my plan would just work if they would just let me do it. If they were just to give me all the power that I need, I promise this plan will work.
No, it doesn't sound like it would.
It's every time somebody has said that, it has gone horribly wrong, because a single person, a single mind is not capable of that.
Yeah.
It has to be by committee. There has to be many minds coming together, discussing things in order for an idea to work. Not any single person is going to come forward and have the answer.
No, not at all.
I'll use an example like the Matrix movie. They have like that council of seniors or people that have been around outside of the Matrix much longer that get together and talk about the decisions they're going to make. Now, I like that idea, but maybe not with people as old as some of the people in our own government.
Yeah.
I think there should be...
I think the average age in our government right now is like 67.
Yikes.
That's
I know the topic
ridiculous.
I know the topic today was spirituality, but I do have to just add into there that I think there should be age limits for every position in our government. Like anybody that's in a political position, maybe 65, maybe 70. I'm not what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not the power that be that should say how old it is. I mean, obviously, some people at 70.
No, we are. We're at that age.
Yeah, some people
we are the ones that have the voice.
Some people at 70 are way more cognitively aware than others at the age of 70. I mean, look at
There should be a test, but still,
Yes.
when you're at that age, you grew up in different times, you experienced things differently, and you're probably just not in touch with younger
Mhm.
generations, and chances are you've probably dipped your hands into things that you shouldn't have, being in politics for so long.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if somehow you've been a career politician and you're a multimillionaire.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
a no. That's a
Yeah.
no.
Too much.
And I mean, it's not like these people don't get paid afterwards. I'm pretty sure that at any level of government work, so if you're a governor and you retire, you're paid for life.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know
This-
the
uh-oh.
president's also paid for life too,
What?
right? Did her camera stop?
Something weird just happened. Exavac.
Well-
something happened and it stopped recording.
Well,
hit,
we're
hit
at
the
an
record.
hour.
Hit the record button again. See if it starts.
We are at an hour and a half, just so you guys know.
S movie area memory card is full. Cannot record.
Oh damn! Well, at
Well,
least we
we-
got the full one up there for when she's going.
Yeah.
Is mine still going?
Yeah.
We're good. We're still gonna run into some small problems. as
What
we're-
size card did you put in hers?
Hers is only 32. The one I got in this one's 128.
That's 32 gigs?
Yes, that's why I'm
So-
shocked it's full.
Then my phone is definitely not recording anymore.
No, it is. It's at an hour and a half right
Yeah,
now.
yours is still going. So I don't know what's up with that one.
There's got to be space on there that is like.
I just
not-
formatted it, so it's completely empty.
Okay, we'll have to figure it out.
Well, I guess maybe
Well,
wrap
anytime
it up.
anytime you're talking, we can just put it on the wide view. You know, we're
Oh,
we're
okay.
still. This is only our third episode. We're gonna run into technical difficulties. Still, we're gonna
Yeah.
figure things out as we go along. You know,
It's gonna happen.
it
For
will.
sure.
It will.
Totally lost track of what we were just talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I can just go back to the question of like, I mean, I kind of stated why I thought we were here on Earth. If any of you guys want to answer that question, like, what do you think our purpose here is? That's something I think about often.
Oh, our purpose? Holy crap.
Honestly, I just feel like it's to live and learn.
I haven't made a choice about that yet, but I do like the idea as we are entities of energy,
Mhm.
and this is one of the experiences that entity and energy experiences. So a human being is born or created in the womb, and in energy form finds its way there, and then this is just one of our many experiences.
What was that movie on Disney? Souls?
Oh, love that movie.
Have you seen that yet? It's funny because they, in a way, try to show how like the souls come down to Earth. Like they jump from the soul world down to Earth when they're about to be born. And there's one scene. It's kind of funny where what was her number
22.
Number 22 comes down with something else that ends up in a cat.
Oh, the gentleman, the musician.
Yeah, the musician.
Is this the Cinco de Mayo?
No.
No. This
No.
is just a movie called Souls.
Isn't it Jamie Foxx that plays the musician?
Now
there?
I think yeah.
It's
now I
actually-
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I thought it was a really, really good movie, to be honest.
No, it was fantastic.
In recent years, that might be one of the best things Disney's put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they've been doing real bad lately.
Oh,
real bad.
That Cinco de Mayo movie you're talking about, that's where the kid goes to the world of the dead, right?
Yes.
Yes,
that
that's
one's good too. What's that
Is-
called?
Coco.
Coco.
yeah.
I know my Disney.
Another good one. What was the one where the little like sea monster comes out of the water and becomes human?
Oh, now you're right.
Is it-
Silencio Bruno.
Is it the more recent one?
It is
Because I know
kinda
there's
recent.
a very recent one where it has to deal with like.
There's a sea creature who, when he comes out of the water,
Water, he becomes
turns into a human.
Oh, and then he meets another boy who's his friend he brings him into the water.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah,
Please
yeah, I
Google
don't
it. Just
remember the
Google
title,
it for my
yeah.
sake. I'm gonna drive myself nuts during this video.
I don't even know what to Google, but I'll do my best to run the search and see what I can find.
Because that movie was pretty good too. I forgot what it's called.
Hmm.
Just type it in funny where like you're describing it.
I'm typing in Disney movie in Italy with sea monster.
Actually, it's a Pixar film, but continue.
But it's on Disney, right?
Yes, yes.
Luca.
Ah, that's what it was.
My weird description in Google still found it. I just put Disney
course.
movie in Italy with sea monster.
Google is used to weird descriptions.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all seen that little short where it's like it's supposed to be Google, but it's a dude sitting at a desk, and then people in a line come in, sit down at the desk, and give like the dumbest descriptions, and he's like, "Is this what you meant?" And then hands him like a booklet of searches.
Oh my
That's basically Google. Like people ask Google the weirdest, and people can't even like spell correctly, and Google is still like, "I know what you meant. I got you, fam."
I got you. Thank you, Google.
That's a good thing Google knows, because
Google does
sometimes
know.
my spelling is not the best, and sometimes when I'm trying to search something, it can just auto correct it in for me. But
Actually, do you have Google up right now?
oh yeah.
You should ask Google how many questions Google has been asked.
Oh
Oh
man, I
my-
wonder if it even knows. It's
There
gotta be.
has
It's gotta be
to be.
trillions.
There
I ask Google.
has to be a count.
I ask Google at least 50 to 100 questions a day.
You should.
Like,
He's constantly Googling
yeah,
shit.
I mean,
don't-
so am I. Which we should start using different search engines, but that feels like something Google would have a counter of. It's a dumb number, isn't it? You can't even count that high. It's after
mean,
trillions.
okay, so here's to
It's
put it
pentillion, isn't it? It's a pentillion.
to put it in to perspective. It doesn't give the total number, but to put it into perspective. However, it's estimated Google processes approximately 99,000 search queries every second, translating to 8.5 billion searches per day and approximately 2 trillion global searches per year.
Holy
year.
fuck.
2 trillion per
So,
year.
and Google, let's find out when Google came about.
Late 90s? 98?
Early 90s? Or
Mm,
no, not too. No, because computers weren't really a thing yet.
I mean,
September 4th, 1998 is when Google was
Yeah.
founded. So I'm sure they weren't getting that many searches back
Right.
then, but
but
Nowadays,
like the phrase Google it became pretty popular early 2000s.
Yeah.
Like smartphones, soon as smartphones were in everybody's pocket, everybody was Googling, but even home computers. So let's just take.
so we're looking at like 50 trillion.
oh my god.
We're looking around the number probably between 40 and 50 trillion questions Google has been asked. That's a number like we can't even fathom.
No,
Yeah.
I can't even see it.
That's a lot of questions.
That's insane, which
Google
actually
has to be tired.
gives me an idea I want to bring up for a topic that I've had for the future, and it's contradicting information on Google,
Oh yeah,
because there's a lot of it.
it's
Well,
so
probably because it's been asked so many questions.
We would probably have to take a whole week trying to find different examples of conflicting and contradicting information on Google. But I've done it myself, Googling things with like medications and things like that, where I'll use, for example, I won't go too much into detail, but there's a mental illness that Google says at first, when I type it in, says person with this mental illness should not take this medication because it is bound to make it worse and make the suicide ideologies within that person worse. And then right under it, under medications to prescribe for this mental illness, it says benzodiazepines, which was the exact thing right above it that Google said do not take for this mental illness because it can make it worse.
So which is
So
it?
which is it?
It
I've got
depends
screen-
on which source.
I've got
you want to
screenshots.
trust more.
I've got screenshots saved of a couple conflicting things on Google already that I can bring to the table. I'm also going to buy a printer so I can print things out and bring them with.
Well, I mean, just use the Wayback Machine.
Well, what I want the printer for is so like when we have like an actual topic that we've got decided and we're gonna
Yeah.
come
Right.
and present, I can print out stuff that I want to already have ready to go rather than bringing it up on Google and taking the time to do that, where I can print things out, highlight things, and be like, all right, so I found this, and this, and then if there's any other questions on top of that, I can run the Google search. But
Right.
I feel like Jamie over here, man. running the Google stuff.
I mean, you're trying to do it all. So
I mean, staying busy right now in life is a must. Not smoking cigarettes or weed right now. Staying busy is a must, so my mind doesn't go fucking nuts.
yeah, I can see it. Trying to quit, that was rough.
I'm gonna tell you right now, you're never gonna quit cigarettes trying.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird.
No, you have to. You have to say I am quitting.
Yeah, there's no
Saying
trying. There's no
I'm
trying.
is just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll stop for like a
Yup.
week.
What's funny is my mom always told me, you're never going to quit until you actually want to. And the last time I tried last year, I thought for sure, yeah, I don't want to anymore. But there was something in me that still did. And then what's weird is, her and I did a little Lucy for our anniversary. And the crazy thing is, I came down from the trip and finished the pack of cigarettes that I had. And each one was like increasingly tasting worse and worse. And then I woke up the next morning and just didn't want to go get another pack. I was like, I'm done. I just don't want any.
Well, that
That's good.
video that you had shown me makes a lot of sense.
So there was a very interesting video I watched about quitting cigarettes. And if all of a sudden you're like into your 30s and you're having trouble showing up for yourself and doing things for yourself and doing what you say or plan that you're going to do, and you're also a smoker who's said multiple times to yourself you're going to quit smoking and you haven't, that's actually a deep psychological side effect of not quitting cigarettes. Is you stop showing up for yourself, you stop having confidence in your ability to do things because you've said to yourself so many times, I'm going to quit smoking, and then you never do. Subconsciously, that lowers your confidence in your ability to do things or to do the things you say you're going to do.
The effects of nicotine make you very complacent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there was times where like, if I didn't have anything going on throughout the day, I would find some mindless entertainment and just wait until it was time to go have my next cigarette.
Yeah.
Like, oh, let me find something to do to entertain myself for an hour until I go smoke my next cigarette. So
what are we at right now? We're at
we are at 1 second. Let me pull up the audio because it's
1:30.
the audio 1:32.
Mm.
So an hour and a half, not bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we got a little off topic, but
Yeah.
That's okay.
honestly, like,
In time, we will definitely hone it in better.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I feel like there doesn't even need to be a topic. There's just talk.
sometimes
Just talk and see what comes
But
up.
jumping from like different topic here, like discussing 14 different topics in 2 hours, it can get kind of.
Yeah, man. You ever tried DMT?
I have not.
I'm sorry. I love those memes online of Joe Rogan where it's someone saying something and him just the meme says, "That's crazy, man. You ever tried DMT?"
Just jumping around.
All
All
right.
right, so we're probably good for today.
Yeah, let's wrap it
Thank
up.
you for joining us,
Absolutely.
everybody. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, join our group page, TTLG Podcast.
Are we on Rumble yet?
We have not uploaded anything to Rumble yet,
Okay,
but
not
we
yet.
will be. YouTube, Rumble, Twitter. We're
Hopefully,
gonna be on Instagram. and
hopefully we can get on
stuff.
Spotify soon too.
Oh, that'd be
That'd
badass.
be nice.
I hear that they lock you in a contract and you're not allowed to put your stuff
Oh,
out
screw
anywhere
that.
else.
No.
Like
let's-
you personally are not allowed to, but people can clip your
Wait,
stuff.
wait, that's
from
not
it.
that's not accurate.
No?
Mr. Ballin is able to do that with YouTube, and he's on Spotify.
Hey,
Does he
don't
have a
tap the table.
contract? Does he have like a patent contract with Spotify?
I don't know for sure.
So that's the thing. So like with Joe Rogan, other places can
But I feel
put
like they're
his
not-
content up on YouTube.
I feel like
but
that's
he
only
has-
with big podcasts. I feel like the small podcasts, they're maybe not making them
Nope,
sign
sign on
contracts. Because if I'm
Right.
signing a contract, you better be fucking paying me,
Pay me.
bitch.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that's the thing with Joe Rogan. He signed a contract
Right.
with Spotify.
So-
Spotify is paying him directly. And because Spotify is paying him directly, they want his exclusivity.
So could we still get on Spotify since we're not that big at
Sure.
the moment?
Sure.
I have a message from a gentleman in North Carolina that I need to go back and read. He gave me this interesting site that distributes your podcast on all of the major podcasting places. It's similar to I had a buddy that was telling us, you may remember hearing it.
It probably
it's called
offers,
DistroKid distributes music to a bunch of different places.
It probably also offers off-site cloud storage as well.
Possibly.
So
I don't know. I gotta
you
look into that.
probably upload your film to the cloud, and then the cloud then distributes.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure that out. I'll go back in the messages and see
Yep.
exactly what that was that he sent me and then do some looking into that over the next few days.
For sure.
Cool.
Well,
All right.
thank you everybody again
everybody
for joining us.
joining
Hopefully,
in through the looking glass.
you enjoy.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Fuck out of here.